We're over 20% into the 2025 MLB season, and a video I wanted to make was to grade the big either offseason signings or the offseason trades so far with their new teams. Now, some of these guys are going to be free agents at the end of the year, and they were acquired just to be a one-year deal or an expiring contract, or some of these guys signed a 15-year deal. We're going to grade how they look so far with their new teams. And take these with a grain of salt as well, because yeah, somebody that has a 15-year contract, we still have so many years left of that deal. It's really just how they're looking so far out of the gate. So maybe one of the best pickups overall in the offseason was the New York Yankees signing Max Fried, the starting left-hander from the Atlanta Braves. They signed him to an 8-year, $218 million contract after losing out on a batter that we know we're going to get to later on in this. But yeah, Max Fried has been one of the best pitchers in the MLB so far and has been one of the best offseason acquisitions so far. So I have to give this an A for the Yankees. Max Fried so far this year, throughout 7 games, is a perfect 6-0. He's got a 1.01 ERA so far, a 394 ERA plus in 44 innings. His fastball velocity is sitting around a 93/94 this year, but he's getting a lot of ground balls, something that he excelled at in Atlanta, and the solid Yankees defense behind him in the infield is allowing him to keep his ERA down so far this year. He has been getting a little bit lucky so far, given that his FIP is a 2.91, so almost 2 runs higher than what his ERA right now is, so he's bound to regress later on in the year. But either way, this has been a great signing for the Yankees, and Fried looks like a bona fide ace this season. We'll stay in the state of New York, and we're going to talk about the New York Mets re-signing Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso went through most of the offseason without a contract. There were rumors that he could sign with the Mariners, with the Yankees, with the Blue Jays. He ended up not getting much of a robust market that he would have liked, so he signed a 2-year deal worth $54 million with the Mets, but it was basically a 1+1. He has a $24 million player option at the end of the year, and we know he's going to opt out of that because this signing so far has been an A for the Mets. The Mets would not have one of the best records in the National League if it weren't for Pete Alonso, who's putting up NL MVP numbers so far this year. He's leading the NL in WAR, hits, doubles, batting average, OBP, slugging, OPS plus so far this year. Pete Alonso's got a 349 batting average, a 1.143 OPS. He's got 45 hits, 13 doubles, and he hasn't really fully tapped into the power yet. He does have 9 home runs. We know he's probably going to hit 30 home runs this year, but the fact that Pete Alonso is walking as much as he has right now is elevating himself into a new tier, and he looks as locked in as ever. He's got an elite barrel percentage, hard hit percentage, average exit velocity. He's not chasing, he's not whiffing, and like I said, he is walking a ton this year, and he's keeping that strikeout rate down as well. Pete Alonso is turning into one of the best first basemen in baseball, and so far this year, in the 36-game sample size, he's looking like the best first baseman in baseball. So yeah, this is an A as well. But a first base signing that has not looked as good as Pete Alonso's, Christian Walker to the Houston Astros. I have to give this a D so far. Christian Walker had an injury in spring training, so he didn't get off to a fully healthy start. So far this year, through 30+ games with the Astros, a 202 batting average, a 272 OBP, a 347 slugging, just has 4 home runs on the year in those 33 games. Walker signed a 3-year, $60 million contract that's going to take him to his age 36 season. And I know Astros fans have PTSD so far, given what Jose Abreu was for them for the last few years, but he's not really getting that unlucky either. It's just a low barrel rate. He's not making hard hit contact right now. The bat speed is around average to where it's been for most of his career, but he's striking out a ton. He's not walking. This has not been a good signing so far for the Houston Astros, but a lot of Astros batters are having down years so far. And let's talk about one of our first trades. This one is going to be a big closing pitcher acquisition that happened in the offseason. Also for the New York Yankees, they went out and they traded Nestor Cortez and Caleb Durbin in exchange for Devin Williams, the airbender, who has been one of the best relievers since he debuted back in the 2019 season. He won the 2020 Rookie of the Year award, and he was an all-star in 2022 and in 2023. This year so far for the Yankees, in 11 2/3 innings, he's allowed 13 earned runs, which is the amount from the 2023 season and the 2024 season combined. So in those 79 innings, he's allowed the same amount of runs as he had in 11 innings this year. I don't know if Pete Alonso broke him in the wild card series last year, but this has been a disastrous start for Devin Williams in the pinstripes this year. And Williams is also a free agent at the end of the year. He's already been demoted from the closer role, and he was looking a lot better, and then blew a game against the San Diego Padres on Tuesday night. A lot of the expected stats are down. He's walking a ton of guys right now. He could not find the strike zone. This has to be an F. This has been one of the worst offseason acquisitions so far, and time is running out in New York because he's a free agent at the end of the year, and he just may not be fit for the New York lifestyle. But a trade that's looked a lot better than the Devin Williams acquisition, Kyle Tucker to the Chicago Cubs. Like Devin Williams, Tucker could be a free agent at the end of the year, and this is joining Pete Alonso and Max Fried as A acquisitions from the 2025 MLB offseason. Kyle Tucker was traded for Isaac Paredes, Cam Smith, and Hayden Wesneski. All three have shown flashes so far in Houston, but Kyle Tucker, like Pete Alonso, is in the MVP conversation right now in the National League. A 284 batting average, a 393 OBP, 560 slugging, 953 OPS in 36 games. He's got 9 home runs, 30 RBIs, 9 stolen bases, and he's looking like he's well on his way to getting an over $300 million contract next offseason. He wasn't a traditional free agent because he got posted from Japan, and Roki Sasaki ended up signing with the LA Dodgers. There really wasn't a big shocker there. We all expected him to sign with the Dodgers so far, who are kind of building an international factory over there. And Sasaki has started 7 games so far in his rookie year as a 23-year-old. He's posted 30 innings. He's got an ERA of a 3.86, and he's got 24 strikeouts to 20 walks so far. He is walking a ton of batters to start off his major league career, probably not getting as much chase or whiff that he would like so far to start off his career either. The fastball velo is sitting around a 96% right now, and he's throwing 3 pitches, a 4-seamer, which he throws 50% of the time, a split finger, which he throws 30% of the time, and the slider, which he's throwing 17% of the time. So far, I'm going to give this signing a C. I do think Sasaki has shown some flashes so far this year, and he's one of those low-risk, high-reward free agents because he was just signed to the international slot bonus amount. He didn't get a Yamamoto-type contract, so there is little risk to this for the LA Dodgers, but he has been consistent enough. He hasn't shown flashes of like a number 1 or somebody that could win NL Rookie of the Year. That could change over the course of this year, but I'm not worried about Sasaki whatsoever with the Dodgers. As he gets into his mid-20s, he's going to be somebody that you can have in the front line of your rotation, and with all the injuries in Los Angeles, this has looked like a solid pickup for the Dodgers so far. All offseason, though, the Toronto Blue Jays missed out on a lot of free agents. They were in the Soto talks. They were in the Sasaki talks. They were even in the Tanner Scott talks. They ended up signing Anthony Santander from the Baltimore Orioles. So far, though, I gotta give this an F. He signed a 5-year, $92.5 million contract with the Blue Jays and include a signing bonus of $13.5 million, but a lot of this was deferred money as well. He was also a qualified offer free agent, so they had to forfeit their second highest draft pick and $500,000 from their international bonus pool as part of the signing. So far, Santander this year, a 178 batting average, a 267 OPP, 310 slugging. He's got an OPS of a 577 right now, and he's not going to give you any defense whatsoever, as he's pretty much a DH at this point of his career. The advanced metrics do not look great. The bat speed is down. The hard hit percentage is down. He's still just 30 years old. He's been too consistent in Baltimore for at least the last 6 years, where I do think he's going to be fine in Toronto, but it's been off to a terrible start. Boston Red Sox shocked everybody in the offseason when they gave up a haul for left-handed starting pitcher from the White Sox, Garrett Crochet. Shades of them trading for Chris Sale almost a decade earlier. The haul they gave up included top prospects like Braden Montgomery and Kyle Teal, and then they also rewarded Garrett Crochet with a monster extension as the season started as well, where he's going to be making $24 million next season, and that's going to go up to $30 million in 2031. But so far, I have to give this an A for the Boston Red Sox. This has been a phenomenal pickup, as Garrett Crochet has looked like one of the best pitchers in baseball through 8 games this year, where he's got a 2.02 ERA. His FIP is at a 2.8 right now, so even if he regresses a little bit, he's still going to be one of the top pitchers in the American League. 49 innings, 56 strikeouts already. Crochet introduced that cutter back in the 2024 season, and that is a pitch he is now throwing 28% of the time, and it is working. The Red Sox found their ace for the next half decade, so yeah, I gotta give this an A, and that's even more impressive that this is an A so far, given what they gave up and what they had to pay for Garrett Crochet on the extension, but Boston has to be very happy with the results right now. The San Francisco Giants have kind of been the Toronto Blue Jays of the National League, consistently missing out on top free agents. They missed out on Aaron Judge. They signed Carlos Correa, and then they had to scratch that deal from the medicals, so they finally got their top guy in free agency when they signed Willy from the Milwaukee Brewers to a 7-year contract worth $182 million. That's an average annual salary of $26 million. This was pretty much the first big acquisition in the Buster Posey era as the new president over there in San Fran. So far, though, I gotta give this a D signing. Adames has not been a good bat so far in San Francisco, has gone off to somewhat of a slow start. A 223 batting average, 304 OBP, 353 slugging, and a 656 OPS. I think Adames is going to be just fine, and he's still going to average out to being one of the best offensive shortstops in the MLB. But yeah, this is not the start you want. And batters at Oracle have struggled over the last few years and in history, so we'll see if Adames can adapt to this new ballpark environment. All right, let's talk about the big one, where the Mets gave Juan Soto the biggest contract in American sports history in terms of dollar amount, where they signed Juan Soto to a 15-year, $765 million deal. Soto turned down a 15-year, $440 million offer from the Washington Nationals, ended up getting $325 more million from the Mets. It has an annual average value of $51 million per year. Soto is playing the outfield right now, but he's most likely going to transition into a DH role in the back half of this contract. And that's why I said in the beginning of the video, take these grades with a grain of salt, because we are less than 5% into Soto's Mets career so far. I'm going to give this signing, though, for the Mets a B. It is not an A. Soto has not put up those type of numbers this year, but it has felt like a down start for Juan Soto, and he still has an 821 OPS, a 439 slugging, and has an OPS plus of a 136. He's got 5 home runs and 14 RBIs, but if you look at the advanced metrics, Soto has been extremely unlucky this year, and has probably been one of the more unlucky batters in the whole MLB. If you look at his xWOBA compared to his WOBA overall, but everything is either in the 96th, 97th, 98th percentile when you look into average exit velocity, hard hit percentage, xWOBA, bat speed, whip percentage, K percentage, walk percentage. Juan Soto is still one of the best batters in the MLB, still has one of the best eyes, if not the best eye in the MLB. He's 26 years old. I'm giving it a B for the production so far, but I'm not worried. And at the end of the year, I expect this to change to an A. It wasn't just Roki Sasaki for the LA Dodgers. They also signed Blake Snell from their division rival, the San Francisco Giants, when they gave Blake Snell a 5-year deal worth $182 million. Unfortunately, though, Blake Snell has only started 2 games for the Dodgers this year, so I really can't put a firm grade on this so far. He didn't look fantastic in the first 2 starts either, as he was walking a ton of batters, as Blake Snell does, but he only got into 4 innings in his second start. So yeah, this is going to be an incomplete grade so far, but I just feel like this Dodgers pitching staff is kind of cursed with injuries. Add Snell to the list for somebody that's been somewhat reliable for most of his career. The Dodgers were also active when they signed Tanner Scott, the top closer on the market, to a 4-year deal worth $72 million. And so far, I'm going to give this signing a B. I think Tanner Scott has done a fine job so far. He does have a blown save this year, but he's got a 2.16 ERA in 16 2/3 innings this year. And he's not walking guys either, and he's getting a ton of strikeouts at the moment. And he does look like he could be a solid closer, at least throughout this contract. But relievers are so volatile where you can't really justify giving a closer this much money just because you don't know what you're going to get out of them from either a night-to-night basis. I already talked about what happened with Devin Williams so far, and I'm sure the Yankees are regretting that right now, even though they may have not given up as much as they would have thought. It was shocking when the Arizona Diamondbacks came out of nowhere and gave Corbin Burnes a 6-year, $210 million contract, a franchise that hasn't had the best luck with large pitching contracts over the last decade plus, including guys like Zach Greinke, Jordan Montgomery, and Mason Bumgarner, but they gave Corbin Burnes an average annual salary of $35 million when they had their own RSN rights as well. Now, some of this is deferred money, and Burnes may opt out of the contract after the 2026 season, and so far, Burnes this year has not looked like Burnes in the past with the Milwaukee Brewers, or even at the start of his Baltimore Orioles days. So far, I'm going to give this signing a B for the Arizona Diamondbacks. He's already experiencing some shoulder inflammation right now. It doesn't look like he's going to go to the IL, and Burnes' advanced numbers do not look great either, as he's striking guys out at a less and less rate since his breakout year and MVP year, since his 2021 Cy Young season. So far this year, he just has a strikeout percentage at 20%, which puts him into the 39th percentile of all major league pitchers. He's walking a ton of guys. He doesn't look like himself, but maybe it's because of the shoulder information. And even where Burnes does not look like himself and has been disappointing, he still has a 3.58 ERA. The last contract signing we are going to talk about is Alex Bregman, who signed a similar deal to Pete Alonso with the Boston Red Sox. He signed late in the offseason. It's basically a 1-year deal worth $36 million, but Bregman has player options for the 2026 and 2027 seasons for $41 million. And honestly, the way Bregman is playing right now, he could opt out of that and turn down that $80 million contract for the next 2 years and sign a much more lucrative contract. So far this year, through 35 games, he's already accumulated 2 WAR, playing a solid third base, a 317 batting average, a 396 OBP, 583 slugging, 979 OPS. He already has 8 home runs this year, 27 RBIs, and if it weren't for Aaron Judge, he'd be a top MVP candidate right now in the American League. In the last offseason transaction, we're going to talk about the Philadelphia Phillies trading Starlin Caba and Marion Boyd for Jesus Luzardo. This has to be an A as well. This is up there with the Max Fried acquisition as one of the best starting pitchers that changed teams from last offseason. So far this year, through 7 games, Luzardo is an NL Cy Young frontrunner, a 1.94 ERA in 7 innings. He's already accumulated 2 WAR, which is going to put it at the second highest of his career. In 41 innings, he's only allowed 9 runs. He's got a 1.91 FIP, so I'm not worried about him whatsoever. It's not like he's getting extremely lucky, and he's striking out a ton of guys as well. So far this year, he has a strikeout percentage at 27%. He's generating a ton of whiffs, a ton of ground balls, and like I said, has looked like one of the best pitchers in the National League, but also in the whole MLB in general. So that is going to be for me. I hope you guys did enjoy. Like I said, take those grades with a grain of salt because we are still so early in some of these players' new careers. And let me know what you agree with or disagree with in the comments below. Drop a thumbs up if you guys did enjoy the video. Hit that subscribe button if you are not already, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.